Ah, Marlin Spike Hall! What a great place for a house party.
What was that?
I don't know. We better investigate.
Blistering barnacle! The Adventures of Tintin is an epic book series about boy detective Tintin, and it was later made into a TV series.
Before being made into a film in 2011 by Steven Spielberg himself.
But did one of these adventures inspire the Doctor Who story, The Unicorn and the Wasp?
In this video we will work out just that, and trust me, we found a lot of similarities between the two stories. And warning, there will be spoilers for Tintin and the Series 4 story, The Unicorn and the Wasp.
In the episode The Castafiore Emerald, the whole episode takes place at a mansion called Marlin Spike Hall, which is pretty much the main location for the later episodes of Tintin.
And The Unicorn and the Wasp is set in a 1920s mansion owned by Lady Edison. It's probably worth pointing out that The Adventures of Tintin is also set in the early 1900s. Yup, the setting isn't the only thing that's similar. The characters and their actions are much alike in the two episodes. Our main character Tintin is a journalist and happens to be staying at the mansion when Castafiore's emerald is taken. So he takes up the case and ultimately solves the mystery before everyone else.
So it turns out that our two main characters share the same role. The 10th Doctor pretends to be a guest at Lady Edison's gathering with Agatha Christie when a murder sparks his interest. He also is the character that saves the day, with help from Agatha Christie.
Captain Haddock is the owner of the mansion and unfortunately has a nasty fall which leaves him in a wheelchair for most of the episode, before recovering towards the end.
The Colonel at the start of this episode makes reference to being in a wheelchair, before at the end revealing he could walk all along. It's very similar to Haddock, but not the same.
Bianca Castafiore is a famous opera singer who comes to stay at the mansion before her prized jewel, the Castafiore Emerald, is stolen.
And it just so happens that Agatha Christie is a famous writer who comes to Lady Edison and the Colonel's dinner party before trouble begins to ensue. As for the stolen jewel, Lady Edison has a prize necklace that the Vespa form is closely linked to, and a thief succeeds in stealing this halfway through the episode.
Sounding pretty similar.
So just to recap, the Doctor is Tintin,
The Colonel is Captain Haddock,
and both Agatha Christie and Lady Edison is Bianca Castafiore. However, you could argue that Agatha Christie is Tintin, because she does a lot of the detective work in this episode.
and as a bonus, Miss Chandrakala is most likely representing Irma, Castafiore's personal assistant.
One of the key scenes in The Unicorn and the Wasp is the interrogation sequence, when the Doctor and Agatha question the guests.
And in this Tintin episode, there is a sequence that is strikingly similar.
Still not convinced? We have more. There's also a scene where Agatha discovers a case of tools used by the Unicorn, aka the thief, and she noticed this because the flowers are bent over by the window even though they were perfectly neat earlier.
Tintin also discovers something in the flower bed, but in this case, it's a ladder. But the big scene is this one.
The Unicorn strikes at the dinner table. The lights go out and all of a sudden Lady Edison's necklace is gone. Oh, there's also a giant wasp attack and a brutal murder, but details.
No wasp in this one, but there is a scene in the hall where the lights are turned off and Bianca Castafiore loses the Castafiore Emerald. Pretty similar. I'll be honest, the villain in The Unicorn and the Wasp is way cooler than the one in Tintin. I mean, it's a giant wasp! What more could you want?
Well, in Tintin, it turns out the monster behind the stolen emerald is none other than a magpie. Yep, a magpie.
Well, I suppose both villains can fly, and both of them are attracted to either the necklace or the emerald.
Okay, it's a little weak, but they are similar. Well, it's definitely not a coincidence that the Unicorn and the Wasp and the Castafiore Emerald share so many similarities.
With some nearly identical scenes and similar character motives, there has to be some connection.
Interestingly, when researching this, there's no mention of this Tintin episode being linked to the Unicorn and the Wasp.
But both the Unicorn and the Wasp and the Castafiore Emerald are riddled with references to Agatha Christie's work. So maybe both stories were inspired by the same novels.
Then again, there were quite a few scenes that were executed the same way, so perhaps Doctor Who did take inspiration from Tintin.
Ah, if only we had Agatha Christie, she would have solved this in seconds!
What do you think? Were they both inspired by the same novels, or did Doctor Who take a little inspiration from a cartoon detective series? Let us know down in the comments below. For more videos like this one, feel free to click that red button down below to join the adventure. We absolutely love making crossover videos like this one, so there will definitely be more to come.
Thank you for watching everyone, I've been Christopher.
And I've been Lewis.
And you've been...
Brilliant!
Every night, every day, cause we're so into it. Don't think I could ever quit. Max in 2005, it's taken over our life.